up, Simba? Hey, Simba. Oh, Simba. Oh, Simba. This is my cat, Simba, and we're about to read. I guess I'm about to read it. Welcome to Zebra, the comic book read-along. I am your hostess, Jane Joyce, and today we are going to go over Trinity number 2, a recent one by DC. This is my kitty cat, Fluffer Butter. Isn't she cute? Look at her fluffery little butt. Hey, don't scratch that, you stinker. This is what I deal with on a daily basis. For Trinity number 2, this is a DC publication. This was published in December of 2016. I want to quickly just give you the credits for this issue. Francis Manapul, writer and artist. You can follow Francis on Twitter at Francis Manapul, M-A-N-A-P-U-L. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I apologize if I am. My pronunciations are not always accurate. He's also on Instagram at Francis_Manapul. Also has letters by Steve Wands, on Twitter at SWands, and on Instagram at SWandsArt. I don't have the variant cover for, I just have the normal cover. I do plan on getting it at some point, but right now I just have this wonderful cover. The variant cover for this edition is Frank Chow, or Cho. I'm probably ruining that as well. And he is on Twitter at Apes and Babes. And he is on Instagram at Frank Chow Artist. I believe this was also done with Laura Martin. I could not find her social media, so if you guys have that, feel free to put it in the comments, and I will include that in the video so that other people can also follow. So getting into Trinity 2, where this left off with Trinity 1, if you haven't seen that video, click the link and go ahead and watch that. Grab your copy and let's go ahead and read along. Okay guys, so in issue 1, Wonder Woman as Diana Prince and Batman as Bruce Wayne, they showed up to Clark Kent's home. This is the new Clark Kent, the new Superman, who is married to Lois Lane, and they have a son named John. They had a little bit of an awkward meeting, a little bit of an awkward dinner, but then the three of them went on a little walkabout. And while doing so, they were kind of summoned into the barn where some weird green stuff was kind of happening. And so this issue starts essentially with a young Clark Kent. And interestingly enough, it appears that our heroes are back in Smallville, and here they are, you know, Superman's holding his father, essentially, and they're confronting his younger self as Clark. And there is a huge misunderstanding going on because young Clark is not really sure what happened to his father, but his father seems to be dead. Young Clark gets very angry and attacks Superman, his adult self. Batman tries to intervene and gets tossed to the side, and young Clark Kent flies away. And as we go on, it does seem that Jonathan Kent is actually fine, and he seems to be waking up. Mr. Kent wakes up and is confronted by Superman. He sees the emblem on his chest, and so when he sees that emblem, he immediately thinks that they've come back to take his son. He seems to be a little bit frightened, but of course, you know, they're gonna kind of talk and figure this out. The characters aren't really sure how they got here or why they got here at this point. As a reader, we don't really know just yet, but I'm sure we will find out as the story progresses. So it kind of goes back here for a minute to the current time, and we have Jonathan and Lois having a discussion. And young Clark was terrified with this incident. He thinks his father is dead at this point, and so he goes and hides in what he knows to be a safe place. And while he's there, he gets confronted by a voice, whose voice we don't know it is just yet, but I'm sure we will find out as we turn the pages. They start talking to each other. Young Clark is a little surprised, but it sounds like this voice is going to help Clark. Now, when we go back to the barn, the superheroes are being shown the spaceship, and there's a lot of questions going on, trying to figure out why Superman is wearing the same symbol as what came on the ship that Clark arrived in. 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 They're sitting in the truck driving through Smallville, and they know exactly where Jonathan went, or I'm sorry, where Clark went, and they think it's the Devil's Mouth, which is a waterfall that he's hanging out in. All that he's hanging out in. All that he's hanging out in. All that he's hanging out. All that he's hanging out in. All that he's hanging out. All that he's hanging out in. All that he's hanging out. All that he's hanging out in. All that he's hanging out. As they get here, Batman is suspecting that something isn't making any sense. He's trying to put it into words, and he's trying to talk to Wonder Woman about it. And they're not really, they haven't quite figured out what is happening just yet. All they know is that they seem to be in the past and confronting a younger Clark Kent. We don't know yet if they've somehow been pulled into an alternate universe, or if it's some kind of time travel, or what's going on. Now, Batman being the detective that he is, he does come across this hat in the water. Now, oddly though, as they're walking along, Superman gets very sick. Now, oddly though, as they're walking, very sick. Now, oddly though, as they're walking, fall in the water. He's of course rescued by his dad, and with tears in his eyes, he kind of tells his father a lot about himself. Stuff that he maybe never got the chance to tell his father, so he's taken that opportunity to do so now. 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 He's taken that opportunity to do so. He's taken that opportunity to do so. Of course, Wonder Woman is carrying a young Clark Kent and reunites him with his father. It turns out that he was not deceased and everything is okay. There seems to be kryptonite in the water, interestingly enough. Now we kind of go back to this current time, and it looks like there's some kind of green stuff on the barn, and John Kent is out there trying to figure out what is going on, and this cloaked figure kind of sneaks up on him with what appears to be some red hair and some ivy in the face, and John is left on the ground incapacitated by some vines, and it looks like whoever this figure is, he or she is touching the faces of our heroes. And as we turn the last page, it is indeed Poison Ivy, and she has Bruce, Clark, and Diana all tied up in these vines with some kind of pod attached to their chests, which has them in this deep slumber. So it appears that this world that they're experiencing is in fact some sort of an illusion created by Poison Ivy herself. So they're not really in the past, they're not in an alternate universe, they are trapped in their own minds, as far as we can tell. This is an excellent book. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Be sure to check out issue number 3 in my next video, or feel free to go back and see issue number 1. This is why I started with Trinity, because it is just an excellent story. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. See you next time on the Comic Book Read Along.